Hello, good evening. My name is Richard. This is the newly branded, whatever the weather, the Arsenal Women's Channel. This is, of course, our regular Friday night show. We have got, well, not quite as much to talk about tonight as we may have done had the game last week against Brighton not been postponed, but it was due to the weather. So we'll look at that postponement, obviously. There was, of course, a game in midweek in more atrocious weather in the Champions League, of course. We did book our place in the quarterfinals. And, of course, this weekend, it's the FA Cup. It's our last game for a while as well, due to the break that we're having, international break and whatever. So it's a much anticipated game. The FA Cup is back. So lots and lots, of course, to get through. And it's all coming up the other side of this. So it is, of course, our Friday show, and joining us, as always, following some more jet setting around the world, is, of course, the Lord Andreas himself. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Richard. Good evening, everybody. I'm not bad at all. Back to normal, and today was extremely busy day, but that's no wonder when you're away middle of the week for 2 days. So yeah, but it was worth it despite or whatever the weather. It was terrible conditions, but anyway, it's always worth to be in the stadium and to support our girls. And yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I suppose the new name for the channel is quite appropriate with the weather that we've been having as well. Certainly this winter, certainly in the UK particularly, it's been terrible. So, and of course, it wasn't so great. It wasn't so great last weekend either, which, of course, meant that the game that we were due to play, unfortunately, it didn't go ahead. So I seem to remember this game, Brighton away, was postponed. I don't know if it was last season now or the season before, but it was the same fixture on the same stadium that was postponed. That was quite late on in the day as well, wasn't it? Now, it's a little bit of a problem for me. You know, the WSL now has become professional. It's got better TV coverage. Well, not say better TV coverage, more TV coverage. It wants to be taken a lot more seriously, and we're getting issues like this still happening. Games being postponed because the grounds that these teams have got to play on, some of them, aren't up to the required standard of top level football. And we saw that again, I say, the second time that this fixture has been postponed in, I'm sure it's 2 seasons in a row now. And it's an issue, isn't it? Because, you know, the weather in this country in the winter generally isn't that great. I mean, this winter's probably been worse than most, to be fair, in terms of wet and rain. But, I mean, Andreas, I know it's difficult, isn't it? Because not every club's going to have the luxury of playing in the big stadium as we can, and you know, Chelsea play a lot of their games there. Everton are playing in the former men's stadium now. So, but not every club's got that luxury, and obviously Brighton are one of the clubs that doesn't. What more do you think can be done? So we try and avoid, because I mean, it's not ideal, is it, when you're looking to promote women's top level football and games are getting postponed because of the weather? That's 1970s kind of thing, isn't it? That used to happen in the men's game, very rarely even then. So what do you think can be done? I mean, Brighton can't obviously move into the Amex on a full-time basis by the look of it. Is there anything else they can do? Should they not have a backup pitch, maybe a backup ground for situations like this? It must be possible.
Yeah, it's disappointing that in the top league of women's football, these postponements happen, and games are cancelled short before. That's the main problem. I mean, from London to Brighton, it's not the longest journey, and but anyway, to cancel a game 3 hours before it's too short. If you know the weather conditions and there is no chance to move it to another stadium, then you should cancel it the day before. Because just think of all the supporters who were already traveling, and then you hear it on the radio or you or you hear it when you already arrive at the stadium. It's disappointing, and this shouldn't be in 2026 in the top league of women's football in our country. That's not good enough. But what can you do if the pitch is waterlogged or if it's snowing or icy? I mean, the health of the players is top priority. So why couldn't they consider to play this in their main stadium? As far as I know, Brighton men weren't at home in the Premier League last weekend, so it would have been possible. Of course, not 3 hours before, but you know the weather conditions. You have weather apps on your phones. You have the forecast, and then you know it will be difficult for the game on Sunday. Okay, it's Wednesday or Thursday now. Let's move it to the main stadium. Then there would have been enough time to make plans and to do this. But just to tell you that it's not, England is not the worst in this situation. Last Monday, or this week Monday, there should have been the game Werder Bremen versus Bayern Munich in the Frauen Bundesliga. And 41 minutes before kickoff, the game was cancelled. 41 minutes. Wow. For a game between Bremen and Munich, and it's about 850 kilometers distance. So every Munich supporter who wanted to be there had booked at least one day of work, 1 day holiday, probably 2 days, a night in a hotel, and then you get the message 41 minutes before, and then the next message was the tickets will be valid for the new date. You can take another 2 days of holiday, book another hotel, and travel again. Unbelievable. And the German FA insisted that Bremen should do everything that the game can take place, because there is no space for postponements or when to play, because they already have 14 teams in the league. England has only 12 this season. But same situation or even worse, and it's the top league of women's football, and you have these situations. Just imagine in the men's game. And Bremen said it was not possible to move to the main stadium because it was too much snow, even in the main stadium. Imagine this situation in men's football. 40 minutes before a game, you say, "Oh, we can't play tonight." Unbelievable. So the 3 hours before for the Brighton game was not the worst possible situation, but anyway, it's not good enough, and we should change something. Every club should be able to have a second option where to move a game, or like the Brighton game, what I said, then decide 2-3 days before, and then you can have all the organization that's necessary. It was disappointing, and for us, for Arsenal, it's now one more game to play, probably midweek, and I think the WSL or FA made the mistake to postpone the Leicester game to end of April. This would have been the slot for the Brighton game if Leicester was now midweek in March, early March, after the international break. And now when to play the Brighton game? If we reach the semi-final in the Champions League, then 2 more games from weekends have to be postponed. And when to play? In May? Every 3 days in May? No.
Yeah, I mean that is the other issue, isn't it? I mean, when do the games get played? I mean, we've now, after Saturday's game against Bristol City, we haven't got another game for 3 weeks. And yes, I know there's an international break in between, but it's crazy that we're having to build up games later on in the season when we've got a massive break now. Crazy. And then playing the Champions League, these Champions League games on a weekend means you're cancelling more league games if you get there, and that just creates more problems. And now you've got the weather situation where the pitch isn't playable, so they've had to postpone a game, and that leads to more problems. And you know, it seems as like the problems are fallen to us again. You know, we're the ones that's getting the game postponed again. We're the ones that's having to try and squeeze games in later in the season at a crucial time when everything's decided and you need everybody fit and firing, and suddenly you've got to play 3 games a week consecutively, which isn't going to help anybody. And yes, it is a tough one to kind of figure out, because you can't predict the weather. It's impossible. Not months and months in advance. Yes, you can predict it maybe a couple of days ahead. Absolutely, you can. You can see what's happening. From what I understand, the pitch at Crawley was covered, and they didn't really know the state of it until they uncovered it, close to kickoff. To me, uncover it the day before. See what you're dealing with. Can you fix it? Can you drain it? Is there anything you can do in the intervening period? Don't leave it to the last minute and then take the cover off and think, oh dear, we've got a problem here. They could have done that on the Friday or the Thursday and seen where we were. But anyway, these are things that can maybe be looked at. But sometimes I get the feeling that women's football still isn't considered important enough. You know, if it was a Premier League game, there's no way that game gets postponed. There's absolutely no way it gets postponed. You know, if it was an FA Cup game involving a Premier League team at a lower league ground, for example, which would maybe be a better example, because obviously Premier League grounds now are never going to get a game postponed, very rarely, because of weather. But say it was, I mean, Arsenal men's team are playing Mansfield away in the FA Cup in March. Yes, but potentially by March the weather's going to be okay. But you know, if that had been in February or January, you can guarantee there's no way that game gets postponed, regardless of what the weather was like. There's no way that gets postponed, because it would be considered too important. Women's football is not considered to be important enough for them to do anything about it. They leave it to the last minute. They don't think of the fans. Yeah, the situation you mentioned there in Germany is terrible, isn't it? You know, the distance that the fans had to travel to suddenly be told 45 minutes before kickoff that the game's being postponed. That's not acceptable at all. You know, and yes, you could say that Brighton's not that far from London, and it's not. But a lot of Arsenal fans travel from everywhere to watch the games. They don't all live in London. You know, look at yourself. You travel over from Germany. Had you travel over from Germany for that game, it would have been a total waste of holiday. It would have been a waste of money. Well, not necessarily a waste of money. I'm sure you'd have found other things to do in London. But the point is, you're coming over for a game that then gets postponed at the last minute. And I don't know, more needs to be looked into. I mean, it's you're never going to be able to avoid these problems all the time, because weather can do that. You know, we sometimes get some extreme weather that there's nothing we can do about it. And no matter what you plan, it may still happen. But surely now, like you said, in 2026, with the stadiums that we've got, the pitches that we can make, surely there's a way of making sure that certainly the WSL has got pitches in place that aren't going to be affected by the weather. Hardly ever. That's what they've got to have that in place. You know, there's enough money going into women's football now. I just don't think it's good enough that this is happening still. And it's not, if it just happened once or whatever, it wouldn't be, you can maybe say, okay, but it's not, is it? We've had this affect us I can remember a few of our games getting postponed in the last couple of seasons. It's not just a one-off. It's happened a couple of times to us, you know, and other teams as well. I remember that Liverpool-Chelsea game, wasn't it? They got called off. Well, it got abandoned, didn't it? 5 minutes after kickoff or something. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Honestly, these are just things that should never happen at top-level sport in this day and age. So it is something that they've got to look at, and they've got to find a way to have a contingency plan ready if these things do happen. And obviously in the winter, if you're playing at a non-league ground, which is what Crawley is, Meadow Park is, if you're playing at a ground like that and you know there's possibilities, you've got to have a plan in place to make sure the games can go ahead. I mean, I know it's not quite the same. I think it was last season, Newcastle women, one of their games, which was at the time it was in the third tier of women's football, it got called off because the pitch was waterlogged. There was a downpour overnight. And what they did was they moved the game to a 3G pitch up the road. Obviously had no fans there. They didn't tell anyone where it was going to be because they didn't want fans to go, because there was no facilities for fans. But the game got played. And I'm not saying that's the ideal solution, because it's obviously not for the WSL fans who bought tickets. But there has to be a plan in place that you can move a game if you need to, that's not far away, that everybody can still get to, and it can go ahead, and it saves these issues, which not only affects the game now, as you've rightly pointed out, it's going to affect games later in the season, because we've got to try and fit this in somewhere now. You know, the FA have got to try and fit it in somewhere. Obviously, it's got a match when we've got a spare week, midweek to play it, and all things like this. You know, there's a lot of implications involved in it. And, you know, I must admit, I was shocked. I know we've had some bad weather, but I was actually shocked when I heard the game was off, to be honest with you. I was absolutely shocked. I'm thinking, what? You know, there's been some bad weather, but come on, it's been worse in previous weeks and games haven't been called off. And then suddenly it doesn't seem quite as bad weather, and then we get a game called off at the same ground that it's been called off before. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, on the move says, good evening, Richard and Andreas. An international break does our squad no favours. It didn't last. No, and I don't think it's helped either because the Brighton game got called off as well. So we've lost another game, and now we've got an international break coming up. And yeah, it hasn't worked out very good timing at all, has it, for us once again? But anyway, it shows now women's football is lagging behind the men's game as it's where, television is concerned. Exactly, yeah. This needs looking into by the government Secretary of State. Well, it needs to look into maybe by the Secretary of Sport, I would say. We need to it needs to be looked into because you're right. A lot of people seem to talk a lot about women's football, promoting women's football and making women's football bigger profile, all this, that, and the other. And yet, when it comes down to it, the basics aren't being done to enable that's happened. You can have TV deals all you like. You can move your kickoff time to ridiculous times to suit a TV audience. That isn't the answer to any of the problems, and it isn't the answer to promoting the game in the right way. Things like this need to be looked at. But you know, I don't know whether there's the investment there to do it. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's something that does need to be looked at going forward. LG says you'd rather have points on the board than games in hand because of fixture congestion. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I'd rather play that game against Brighton, absolutely, even if the pitch wasn't great. And at least you've got hopefully the win on the board, and then you can forget it. It's done. Now we've got to try and fit it in somewhere, and who knows when it's going to be, and who knows at what point in the season it's going to be, what games it's going to fall between, you know, who's going to be fit and who's not fit, and all these kind of stuff. So many other issues around it for us, and unfortunately, we've got on the wrong side of it again. Ryan says there are another 4 league games next season. Yeah, I mean, this is something actually. This is a point I wanted to make as well because there is going to be more games next season, and obviously they need to find a way to fit them all in. The Champions League now has got more games because of the extended group stage you've got now. You've got the playoffs to get through to the quarterfinals. There's more games there. So for the teams in the Champions League, you've got more games. There's more WSL games, which is a positive. I'm happy there's more WSL games. We need more teams in there. I'm glad about that. But they've got to find a way to fit all these extra games in, haven't they? You know, I don't know how they're going to do it. Honestly, I think maybe the Subway Cup is maybe the thing that might have to be looked at in a way they can, because there's a lot of games in the group stage that they can maybe get rid of, have that more of a knockout competition maybe, and then you're reducing the games there, aren't you? Perhaps, I don't know, but they need to look at something because, yeah, if we've got problems now with fixture congestion for the top teams in Europe, what's going to happen next season when there's more games and beyond that when they're going to increase it again, aren't they, further on down the line? So, you know, it's problems already. Joseph, how you doing, Joe? Good to see you. So, yeah, obviously not ideal. The game called off for lots of different reasons. I thought from our point of view as well, we have got a bit of momentum building up. You know, we're on a bit of a roll at the minute. We're playing well. We needed that game really to go ahead because we had a great chance of winning it. You remember last season, the Brighton away game was one of those games that had got moved to the end of the season. We know what happened due to the Champions League final. It was one of them games that was thrown at the end, and this could be a similar thing again. And yeah, it could be a crucial 3 points in the league. So not ideal for us at all. And it is something that needs to be looked at, but unfortunately, yeah, we can't control the weather as much as we'd like to. But yeah, not ideal. And it's a shame because, yeah, I felt we were going there at a good time, a good place for us to be in, to be playing that game. And now it's going to be who knows when and who knows what situation it'll be. So, yeah, frustrating and disappointing, but, you know, hopefully it won't be something that's going to happen too often. And then, of course, after that game, we had a game on Wednesday night, which actually was a lot worse weather on Wednesday night than it was on Sunday when the Brighton game was scheduled to be played. And, of course, it was a tough one, this because, you know, the job was pretty much done, as we knew. Not the most exciting of games, but it had to be played, it had to be won, and it was. And, of course, the best thing about this game is, as we said there, it means that we have set up this quarter-final with Chelsea, which, of course, much anticipated game, which, you know, I'm sure we are all looking forward to, which we'll obviously look ahead a bit more nearer the time. We've done well against Chelsea this season, so that bodes well. But for the time being, it was all about just getting the job done, really, wasn't it? It was never, ever going to be a game of excitement. It was never going to be a game, because there's nothing riding on it, really. You know, there was no way we were going to lose 5-0 at home to that team. It just wasn't going to happen, was it? So, you know, there was a few changes to the lineup. It was a little bit disjointed, the performance. But in the end, we came through it. We found a way to win. And I guess that's pretty much all we can say. I mean, you know, it's just one of them days where you just want to get the game played, get it won, and move on to the next one. I mean, Andreas, obviously you were there in the terrible weather that there was on Wednesday night, and yes, not the greatest game. It was a great vlog as well, again, so please check that if you haven't already. I mean, what was it like in the stadium? I mean, I suppose the atmosphere must have been a little bit mixed, was it? Because there wasn't so much riding on that game, really, was there?
Yeah, the whole conditions around this game were, you have to play it, and you can't say we are 4-0 up and we cancel the game and Leuven doesn't have to travel to England. No, it must be played, and you must bring it over the line for the 90 minutes and get the job done. And as I said in the matchday vlog, you couldn't expect a firework or fantastic game and goals over goals. No, it was quite clear that we will manage the game and we will try to win. Yes, but overall we will try to manage it. Don't get any injuries or come into problems. And of course for Leuven, it's for them it's just the biggest stage they can imagine, or they had in their history. Champions League and now the knockouts and playing against the title holders. Of course, for every of their players, it was something special, and it was clear they will give their everything, and they will give 100% in every situation, and that made it even more difficult for our team just to manage the game. And I mean, we were 1-0 up, and then they scored the equalizer. They had the first big chance when Daphne made a very good save in 1 versus 1. So it could have been 2-1 for Leuven for halftime. But anyway, even if we were down with 1 goal, I don't think that they will score 4 or 5 goals. And in the second half, you could see we wanted to win, and of course we were the better team. The penalty, and then a few good chances for us to score a third, and finally Alessia did it, and it was 3-1, a good result. I think a good result for both. We won the game, and for the English FA, we collected points for this qualification for the next season. That the first and the second from the WSL are going through to the league stage without playing the qualifying rounds, etc. We collected the points, and for Leuven it was, as I said, they could play another game on the big stage, face the European champions. It was all in all a good game, a good result. 2,600 as attendance on such conditions on a Wednesday night when the game is already decided. That's okay. And the atmosphere was good. I was fortunate to be under the roof. So the moment I was allowed to enter the turnstiles, then it was okay. But it has started raining about an hour before I left the hotel. And then they opened the turnstiles 90 minutes before kickoff only. So I was there and standing in the rain for 15 minutes. And if it's really pouring down, 50 minutes is enough to be wet all over.
Yeah.
And then I went in, and then in the glass house, this pub, or how you can call it, at Meadow Park, to warm up and have a warm coffee and have a bit of talks. And then, it was, maybe you can say it was a crazy idea to travel from Germany to Borehamwood for a game that's already decided. But, well, I wanted to be there. It's Champions League, and I want to support my team. Anyway, in the end, we won, and today I'm dry and in the warmth again. So, and I say it was worth it. On Wednesday, I thought, a bit crazy, but that's how we are, we supporters, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I say we can't control the weather, unfortunately, and it is what it is, I guess. But like you said, I mean, I suppose it's always worth it in the end, isn't it? Especially when obviously we win the game and get the job done. I mean, yeah, you're right. It was never a game that was going to really attract the attention, was it? Let's be honest. When we were already 4-0 up, and as good as that first leg performance was, and it's important, isn't it, to get the job done as soon as possible in a two-legged tie. Sometimes the two-legged format almost becomes a bit pointless when the first leg's finished in the way that it has. It almost becomes a waste of time playing the second leg in some ways, but it's an extra game that sometimes you don't need, I suppose. But anyway, we won the game. It keeps a good run of results going. And we was never going to really read too much into it in terms of performance. If we'd won that game 5 or 6-0, or if we'd struggled, it wouldn't really have made much difference, I don't think, in the overall scheme of things. But it's nice, isn't it, to keep your momentum going, get another victory. And that was pretty much the only thing that we needed to worry about in that particular game. And of course, it's good to know now that, the quarterfinal's been decided. We're there. And of course, we've got quite a big game awaiting us, as it always would be in a quarterfinal of the Champions League anyway. Obviously, this particular one's got a lot more riding on it, hasn't it, from our perspective? But, we'll worry about that in a few weeks' time when the first leg comes around. But yeah, that's going to be 2 great games to look forward to as well, isn't it? Now moving into the, towards the big part of the season, it's great to have these type of games, and it's something to really, really look forward to. I'm looking forward to both of those legs. I think it's going to be a great game, and it's a good opportunity, isn't it, for the WSL to really show what it's all about on a European stage. A game like this is, maybe it's not ideal in a European competition. You want to play maybe teams you don't play every week, every year, but it's going to be a great game, isn't it? So, but yeah, we got the job done. Obviously, Leslie got a couple more goals to add to her total. Is that 50 goals she's got now for Arsenal, which is pretty impressive, isn't it, when you look at how long she's been at the club? So, that's another positive as well. And yeah, I mean, some players got some minutes on the pitch that maybe could have done with some more minutes, which is good. Some players were rested and given a bit of a break, which again is good. I mean, I know they got a break on Sunday as well, but so, overall, I suppose we got out of that game what we needed to get out of it, really, didn't we? We got the win. We didn't get any injuries by the look of it, and we was able to rest and rotate the team a bit. And yeah, it was. I don't think we learned too much about anything really from it, but other than we learned that maybe Andreas is a little bit crazy to travel to London in the rain for a game with nothing riding on it. But other than that, we haven't really learned too much about the team, so that we didn't already know, I suppose. So, but yeah, it's important to keep winning. That's what football's about, isn't it? You keep winning. That's all you can do, and that's what we've done. And yeah, not really. I didn't watch the game live because the men's game was on. I kind of had them both going. Maybe more on the men's game. It was more riding on that potentially. So I've watched the highlights back since. It wasn't the greatest game of football ever, but the conditions were bad. But we won, and that's the main thing, isn't it? And that's all we can really do. So yes, quarterfinals of the Champions League again. That's what I know there was a season in between where we didn't qualify out of the qualifiers, but we reached obviously won it last year. The time we was in it before, we reached the semi-final, we reached the quarter-final the time before that. We're back in the quarter-final again. We're developing quite a good record in the Champions League. A club of our stature should be doing that. And we are now, and hopefully we can go further in the quarter-final this time as well. We can, push on, and who knows. But we're starting to become a real force in the Champions League now, aren't we? Every time we're there, we're doing well, we're competing, and let's hope we can go a little bit further again and keep going. And who knows where it might end. But yeah, not the greatest game of football, but we won. And of course, after all of that excitement of the Champions League, we now look forward to this weekend. And of course, it's a competition that really we're overdue victory in, aren't we? So is this going to be our year in the FA Cup? Now, obviously, it's a pretty favourable draw. A championship side at home, you take that all day long at this stage in the competition. So it's a good draw. You know, Bristol City are having a decent season. They're trying to get promoted back to the WSL. We seem to play them quite a lot in cup competitions in the last couple of years. I think we played them in the Subway Cup, didn't we, in the group stage the season before. And we're playing them again at home, Meadow Park. Obviously, we're going to be massive favourites to win the game, I'm sure. But it's another opportunity maybe for some of the players who aren't maybe featuring as regularly in the WSL team and the Champions League to maybe get some minutes on the pitch. And hopefully that'll be a positive as well. I mean, obviously, Andreas, these are the sort of games where it's quite tough for Arsenal because obviously we're expected to win and win fairly comfortably. So that puts a bit more pressure on us. Bristol City can come to Meadow Park on Sunday, no pressure on them at all. No one expects them to get a result. And sometimes they're the games that can prove to be difficult. You know, we haven't always had it easy in these type of games. But are you expecting a lot of changes to the team? Are you expecting maybe some of the players who haven't played much to feature a bit more in this game?
Yeah, that's the great opportunity these games give us. And yeah, is Bristol City stronger than Leuven? I don't know. They are on third position in the WSL too. Yeah, we are a massive favorite. And but I remember last season we faced in the FA Cup LCL London City Lionesses when they were in the championship, and we only won 1-0. So yeah, you have to get the job done, and it's difficult. Bristol City will give their everything. Just imagine if they win at Meadow Park, it would be a sensation, and they would celebrate as much as we would celebrate the Champions League win. So for us, it's a must win. Yeah, who will get minutes? Of course, I think Laia Codina will start again. She has now the 2 Leuven games, and yeah, she's a really good backup. But you could see in the Leuven game that she's lacking pace. It's just a fact. That's the fact. But she reads the game well, and she did her job that was expected, and she will get another 90 minutes, I think. Then it was good to see Taylor Hines with her comeback after short injury time. Maybe she will get a start or get 45 minutes. Vicky Pelova has got 2 90-minute games against Leuven, at least starts, and she will start again and trying to find her feet again. So yeah, Olivia Smith is back after being suspended against Leuven, so I think she will start as she was rested during the week. Anyway, then Meadow is out, Stina is out with injuries. There is not much options to rotate, but yeah, let's see. Maybe Leah Williamson will start. She came on for 10-15 minutes on Wednesday. Maybe she will start together with Laia Codina. Then I think Taylor Hines could start or play the second half. Smilla might start. Vicky Pelova again. Yeah, and then yeah, just let Mariana and Kim Little share the 90 minutes so that none of them has to play a full game. Maybe Kim a few minutes more because she has not the international duty afterwards. Mariana will probably have to play both games for Spain. Yeah, it would be good to give Leslie a rest. She's played so much football. I think Olivia could start as number 9 again. Yeah, a bit of rotation, but take it serious and get the job done. I mean, FA Cup, we spoke about it. It's for the team and for us supporters, it's something special. And after 10 years, it would be nice to be in the competition for quite a long time and hopefully go to Wembley again. It's time for us to do something in the FA Cup. No WSL title this season, but FA Cup is something prestigious and would be nice to stay in the competition for longer. And I don't want to hear the whole league laughing about us that we lost at home against Bristol. Please not. Take it serious, win, and then hopefully have another good draw for the next round. I mean, Chelsea is playing against Man United, so one of two big teams will be out. Good.
Yeah, it could open the draw up a little bit, couldn't it? If we can manage to get through as we should, it could open the draw up for us. Who knows? We'll have to see. But to be honest with you, there'll be the quarterfinals next, and I think when you get to that stage in any competition, you're going to probably have to play someone decent, aren't you? You don't get many of the top teams aren't left in the competition outside of that when you get to quarterfinals. So, but let's see. Let's get through first. It's no good talking about looking too far ahead. We need to get through, and if we do get through, then obviously that's going to put us in a great position, isn't it, going forward? So, obviously we're confident we're going to win. It'll be nice. I want Vicky Pullover to get more minutes in. I think she needs the game time. The same as you said, Leia Cadena needs the game time. I think Serena Holmberg should start as well. She needs to. I mean, she's played well every game she's played. She looks great, but I think she needs to integrate into the team more. Give her a player in a game like this. So yeah, I would certainly make those. I would certainly like to see those start this game. It's a tough one with Leslie at the minute. I think had Stina been fit, I think there's no doubt Stina would have started and Leslie would have been rested. There's no question about that. Unfortunately, Stina's injured, so she's missing out. And yeah, I mean, we know Olivia Smith can play that position. She's done it pretty effectively in recent weeks anyway, so I'd have no problem with that. Obviously, we've got Chloe Kelly's fit again now, so I'm sure she'll play a part in this game. And yeah, it's quite an interesting game actually, because one, you get to see a starting 11 that you're probably not going to see very often all together at the same time because of the nature of the game. So that's interesting. Plus, it's a team that we're not playing on a regular basis. Again, the team from the second tier. Again, nothing to lose. It'll be that they can play with a bit of freedom. Could make that an entertaining game as well. And yeah, it's obviously a great opportunity for us to get through. And like you said, we're overdue a win in this competition anyway. We're overdue. I know we did get to the cup final when it was played in December, but it'd be nice to get through to the actual May Cup final at Wembley for the first time in a long time, since 2018 was the last one. So it'd be nice to do that. But obviously games ahead after this one, we have to get through this one first, and then we'll worry about the rest of it later on. But yeah, let's get the job done on Sunday. It's all we can do. Do what we need to do. If it's a 1-0, like you said, against London City Lionesses last year, we'll take that. If we, if it all clicks really well and we win 4-5-0, brilliant. We'll take that as well. It's as long as we get through the FA Cup, you only get one chance. You don't get two legs. You've got to win on the day, and that's it. So let's get it done, and I'm sure we will. We're far too strong. Joe says, I drove from Berkshire and got to the ground before it was. You see, this is a problem, isn't it? That's one of the issues we said. You can't be calling games off that late. I'm sure you weren't the only one, Joe, who went to the ground before it got called off. I mean, or certainly was on the way there. It's nothing else. Joe says, can you explain what the points was mentioned? Yeah, you talk about the points when you for the Champions League. It's just it's the qualification points, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's every country or every team collects points in the competition for their country, and then I think the two best placed countries get the first and the second team from their league directly to the league stage and don't have to play the qualifiers. This season, I know that Germany got Bayern Munich and Wolfsburg through, but next season the WSL gets the first and second automatically in the league stage, and therefore it counts how many games you win, your teams in the Champions League win. You get points for every win, for every draw, and for reaching the next round it get points, etc. So it's important for the English football, for the WSL, and of course it's important for us to be seeded for the draws, also to get these points or how they call it. It's a UEFA ranking, and therefore it counts. Every game counts for the teams and then for the whole FA, and that's what I meant. And now we have Chelsea us and Man United, 3 teams going through to the quarterfinals. So it looks good that not only next season, but also the season following, then we get 2 teams directly in the league stage. And we know how difficult the qualifying games can be. I only say Paris FC.
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, it's particularly for us because, we're likely to maximum we can probably finish again this season with second. You imagine at the minute that we're looking at the league table. So that second place qualifying directly is going to help us as well, isn't it? Potentially, so yeah, it's good. It's important. And yeah, it is good for the English game that we've got 3 teams in the quarterfinals. It's a shame 2 of them are playing each other, so we can only have a maximum of 2 in the semi-final. But even so, if we get 2 in the semi-final, that's still a good result, isn't it, for the WSL and for English football? So let's hope that Man United get through, because it would be good for the game. That would make 2 teams in the semi-final, wouldn't it? So, but yeah, it's ranking points, isn't it, is what it is. And it works similar in the men's Champions League as well, doesn't it? You get ranking points, which helps for qualifications and stuff like that. And more teams can get through, essentially, which may not necessarily be a positive long-term for the competition when you've got 100 teams in it. But it's good for English football. It's good for us. And that's all that we really care about. Ryan says, yes, not playing until March the 15th after Sunday. Yeah, it seems crazy, doesn't it? 3 weeks without a game, and we've got a backlog of games building up. There must be a way we can fit a game in somewhere, I would have thought. LG says, I've looked at Leslie's scoring record for Arsenal, which is 50 goals in 98 games, which is roughly 1 in 2. Shaw has 108 and 127, which is closer to... Yeah, I mean, I think what you've got to look at it slightly differently. Bunny Shaw is just a number 9. That's all she is. She's only a number 9, whereas Leslie's got a lot more to her game than that. She's played in different positions. She's played in a 10. She's played wide. She hasn't just played number 9 every single game in the same way that Bunny Shaw has. And to be fair, when you look at Leslie's goal scoring record for Arsenal, 50 and 98, considering that she's not always played a centre forward, is quite impressive. And yes, Bunny Shaw's record is fantastic. No one can argue with that. But you've got to look at she is a centre forward only, Bunny Shaw. So of course, and I've said this. I think if Stina played as a number 9 every game, she'd have a similar goal scoring record to Bunny Shaw. I think, playing for us as a centre forward, because she's only a centre forward. You can't really play Stina anywhere else. She wouldn't be able to. Leslie's so what's the word? She's so flexible, isn't she? She can pretty much play anywhere across the front 3. She can play deeper, and she does. And she's not your typical number 9 anyway. Even when she plays number 9, she's not your typical centre forward, is she? She's often drifting wide as well. She's dropping deeper to get involved. So yeah, she's never going to score as many goals as a player like Bunny Shaw, and that doesn't. I don't think we should compare her negatively just because Bunny Shaw scores more goals or more goals per game. Leslie's got much more to her game, I think, overall. And I wouldn't swap Leslie for Bunny Shaw at all. Absolutely no chance I would. I think Leslie's a much better overall player. And that's taking nothing away from Bunny Shaw, who's a fantastic striker, absolutely. Her goal scoring record, brilliant. But I wouldn't swap her for Leslie, absolutely no way. Ryan has gone for a 3-1 win. Yeah, we can't score predictions. Yeah, 3-1 win would be absolutely adequate, wouldn't it? Agnes says, what about the goalkeeper, Bulba? She's still injured, isn't she? Because I know obviously she couldn't play because it was a concussion injury. Is she fit now, or is she's still not? She's fit now.
She's available for Sunday, and I don't know whether she will start, but she's available and will be in the squad. Everything's all right with her. She got through the concussion protocol and the examinations afterwards, and yeah, she has to go.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think maybe because Daphne was out for a while, she maybe needs the games, I think, as we've got a long break anyway. I would stick with Daphne for this one personally. I just think she needs the games more than Anik Bulba does, because I mean, she was playing well before her injury, but I think maybe right at this moment in time, Daphne probably needs this game a little bit more. I would stick with her, but it's good that she's back fit again anyway, because she was brilliant before she got injured. Joe says, yes, but Shaw's never asked the players a 10. Exactly, yeah, that's exactly the point. I say it, and even if I still think even if she would play number 9 every week, Leslie, she still wouldn't score the same number of goals that Bunny Shaw does, because she's not that sort of a number 9. She's a different player. It's no good comparing players that aren't the same and say, well, she scored more goals. Yeah, well, she might score more goals. Doesn't really mean anything. Her role is different, and her strengths are different. She plays a different role. So I don't think you can really compare that in a negative way to Leslie, I don't think. And her goal score record stands up for itself anyway. I mean, 50 goals in 98 games is decent for anybody. Any striker will be happy with that. And the fact that Leslie isn't just a number 9, it makes it maybe even more impressive. When you look at her goal scoring record for England as well, that's really impressive as well, isn't it? So, she's got I don't think anybody's going to look at Leslie's goal scoring record and say, she don't score enough goals. Obviously she could score more. I think that's obvious, but that's her goal scoring record's fine. I'm not worried about it at all. Joe says, when I was chatting to Mr. and Mrs. Russo at the Asfar game, they both says she needs a rest. Yeah, I think that's obvious. She needs a rest. I mean, she's had almost constant football now, hasn't she, for 3 consecutive years in a row, hardly missing a game. So, yeah, this is an opportunity to rest her, really, isn't it? Not ideal because Stina's not fit, but yeah, Olivia Smith can play there. Let's give her a rest because we don't need her to play in this game, really, do we? LG says it's UEFA co-efficiency ranking. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, England is number 1 in the rankings and Spain number 2 because of the Barcelona tax. Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose they're number 2 and we're number 1 because we beat them, didn't we, in the final? So we deserve to be number 1, don't we? Certainly for this season. And, we've got 3 teams through as well. So, we are at the moment the strongest league. There's no doubt about that in Europe. And yes, we haven't won enough Champions Leagues, but that isn't necessarily the defining factor, is it? I don't think, personally. I think our league is a stronger league that's got more depth to it, and it's going to be even better as we start increasing the number of teams in there as well. So, okay, I mean, score prediction in for Bristol City. It's difficult to know what team's going to start, I suppose, for us. It's difficult to give too much of a prediction this early on, but obviously we're going to win. I think we'll be fairly comfortable. I'm going to go 2-0, I think. I'll go for 2-0. I don't think it's going to be a goal fest. I think Bristol City will give everything. And then, they're coming into it quite in good form anyway. They're from their own league. They're winning games. They're used to winning games and be confident. So I think it'll be a tough game, but I think we'll win fairly comfortably. I think it'll be 2-0, but a reasonably comfortably 2-0. What do you think, Andreas? What do you think the score will be on Sunday?
That's what I wanted to say too. And I thought one early goal and then for a long time nothing will happen and we will maybe score very late. But as you said, 2-0, then let's say 3-1. And sometimes we tend to open too much and as we saw against Leuven, then suddenly there are chances for these lower teams, and maybe Bristol will score, but then we will score one more, and it's I think 2-goal difference will be it's 3-1. But anyway, as we often said, it's a cup game, and it only counts that you go through. So if we score 5-6 goals, it would be wonderful. But I will be satisfied if we go through and let's say 3-1, no injuries, rest for some players like Leslie, like Mariona, and then look to the next.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the FA Cup is just about winning and going through, isn't it, at the end of the day, whoever you play. And I'm not really bothered. If we win 5-0, it'd be great. Of course it would. Good for confidence, score some nice goals, would be fantastic. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, the FA Cup isn't decided on goal difference. If you win 1-0 and go through, it's the same as winning 5-0 and going through. The result is you win the next round, you're in the hat for the next round, you get pulled out in the draw. So, it doesn't matter too much. So let's just get through. I do think the game's going to have its difficulties for us, naturally, just because that's the way these games tend to go. They don't tend to go as you expect them to be, a comfortable win. I don't think it'll be like that. I think Bristol City are going to work hard. They're a decent team. They're used to winning games. They have confidence. They won't fear. They've got nothing to fear, have they? Because if they lose 5-0, everyone are like, well, that was expected. And if they actually end up doing a lot better than that, then they're going to go away with that with a lot of confidence, aren't they, going into the running for their promotion, which is obviously more important to them anyway, I'm sure. But yeah, we should win, let's be honest. Joe says, I'd like to see Holmberg playing in front of Fox at some point. Yeah, I think it was briefly, there was some game, wasn't it, when she came on and played higher up the pitch and Emily Fox was still on, and it was, I can't remember what game it was now. but it happened briefly, didn't it? And it looked quite good. Yeah, I think Holmberg's future is going to be playing further up the pitch anyway, just because as an attacking player on that right-hand side, she's brilliant. She goes past the defender, puts great crosses in, and that's what we need. Yes, primarily she's a fullback, but I don't know. I can see her playing further up the pitch anyway as her career develops. But yeah, that'd be nice. Maybe, but then see, maybe Foxy needs rest as well. So you think it will rest Foxy, play her in her normal position if you like, and then that's maybe done for this game. Joe's gone 4-1. Yeah, I won't be surprised if that's how it turned out, to be honest with you. But the most important thing, as we said, is going through. But of course, the last point on this game is the fact that it's going to be quite difficult to watch it if you're not at the game, because it hasn't been selected for TV coverage, not in the UK anyway, which to me seems crazy that Arsenal aren't able to stream the game on their website, for example, or the FA Player, which used to show the FA Cup games, didn't it? All of them. Why isn't it being shown anywhere? I don't understand why somewhere it can't be shown. It seems crazy that Arsenal are the champions of Europe, one of the biggest teams in football, the biggest club in English football, playing an FA Cup game against a team that probably could do with a little extra bit of promotion, if you like, and there's no way of watching the game on telly. The Bristol City fans I feel sorry for, because it's a big game for their fans, for their club, playing away at Arsenal, and they can't watch it on telly. It's another crazy thing that seems to be that they're not taking it seriously enough, I don't think. Yes, you could say that there's FA Cup games in the men's game that aren't shown on telly. There's too many games for them all to be shown on telly, and I kind of get that. But when it comes to, I don't know, I just feel as though when you look at the situation, surely there must be some way of streaming this game. If Arsenal website can't do it, the FA Player, it should be, shouldn't it? I mean, this game should have some sort of coverage, shouldn't it? It shouldn't be impossible to watch. It seems crazy, doesn't it, that we're in this situation?
Yeah, I can't understand this either. And for me, in Germany, I think I have no chance to see the game, and I will rely on the highlights a day later, maybe on YouTube, maybe on the Arsenal app. But I don't understand why Arsenal does not stream this game. Is it not allowed? If there are broadcasting rights somewhere for Sky or for BBC or whoever, TNT, then yeah, show it on TV. And if you don't show it, then give the right to the club that Arsenal can stream it, or maybe Bristol City can send a TV team of their own and stream it on their website. But nothing for a game, fifth round game in the FA Cup. It's disappointing. And once again, we are talking about more professionalism in women's football, more respect for the women's football, and then we have this situation: postponed games 3 hours before the game, no streaming, no TV broadcasting. It's disappointing, and it shows that there is still a long way to go for all the professionalism we are talking about. Yeah, WSL football company or whatever they are called. This is a task for the next seasons. We shouldn't have this situation again when we want to move forward, and we are the European champions, and we say that we have the best league in Europe, and then this is it's ridiculous in this situation. I'm disappointed about that, and
I mean, I think we all are, to be honest with you. It's crazy, and it seems as though with the technology that's available now in 2026. There's no excuse. Every single game for women's football, men's football, should be streamed by the club's website. Every single game. They've got the cameras there anyway. The home team have got cameras at every single game, filming the game for training purposes, if nothing else. They've got the facilities already to do it. What it comes down to is money. You've got a company such as Sky or Disney Plus in the Champions League have paid for the rights to show that game. So they're not going to give it up to anybody else. So it's just, this is the way football's gone. It's it's not about sport anymore. It's not about fans. It's just literally about money. So all it's about is just about money. And this is a typical example of that. You know, it seems crazy as well for me. I mean, if you're selecting games for TV, Arsenal have got the biggest fan base, right? Who's going to watch? What if you want people to watch the game, you would put Arsenal's game on, because you're going to get more people watching it, because Arsenal have got the biggest fan base in the world. So Arsenal fans will watch the game. You know, it's guaranteed. You can't guarantee the other games that they've picked. Who's going to watch it? Who's interested in those other games? Not as many people. And they could look at it and say, well, yeah, you know, Arsenal are going to win that game probably comfortably. You know, they're playing a second division team or WSL2 team at home. They're going to probably win quite easily. Yeah, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But that's not the point, is it? The point is, if you want people to watch your coverage because of your sponsorship and adverts and all this kind of that and the other, you pick the team that's going to bring in the audience. This is why, you know, years ago in the Premier League, Man United game used to be picked all the time. Every single draw of the FA Cup managers get picked because they knew people would watch it, because they had the biggest fan base in the world at that time. And that's what you've got to do. So why they've not shown this game is a crazy business decision anyway, apart from anything else. If you're not going to be able to show them all, you'd show Arsenal, because you know you're going to get the views. It's basic business sense, isn't it? So I don't understand who's made that decision. But anyway, it isn't on telly. There's no real way of watching it. You might be able to mess around and find a stream somewhere in the rest of the world that are showing it somewhere. I don't know, but it's certainly not going to be easy to watch this game. It's going to be impossible for most people unless you're actually there in the stadium. So it's not ideal at all, and it's not a great promotion for the FA Cup, the Women's FA Cup. It's not great promotion for women's football in this country when you've got one of the biggest teams not being shown anywhere. It's crazy. But anyway, you know, it is what it is. Again, it's more, for me, women's football in this country is, as I said before, a lot of TV companies, a lot of people in the media talk about it a lot. Talk about how great it is. Talk about how much it needs to be promoted, how much needs to go into it, and taking it more seriously. And yet when it comes down to it, they're not getting basic things done to enable that to happen. And this new company, like you said, have taken over, haven't they, from the FA for the WSL and stuff like that. What have they done this season to improve it? They've sold the rights to the Champions League. I don't know if it was their decision, but the rights to the Champions League have been sold to Disney Plus. Why on earth would you sell any football to Disney Plus? Ridiculous decision. Sell it to a sports channel. You know, I know Disney Plus has sort of got some sort of connection with TNT. Well, just sell it to TNT then. Sell it to Sky. Sell it to a sports channel who can actually do it justice. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, you know. And I've not seen any. This is the only real positive decision I think that's been made is increasing the WSL teams, to increasing it by 2 for next season and increasing it again after that. But again, while that's a great decision and it needed to be done, I can't help thinking that that's literally just about money. More teams in it, more games, more money. It'd be worth more to TV cover. That's I think that's the reason why they've done it. Not because it's good for the game, not because it's going to be, it's going to give more women's footballers the opportunity to play at the top level, earn more money potentially from playing. That's not the reason why they've done it. I don't think it's not in the interest of the game. It's in the interest of money again, I think. And I've not seen anything else from this new company this season to suggest that they know what they're doing in a positive way to promote the game properly. I don't think they have. Is it better or worse than it was? I don't think it's much different yet. Yes, okay, you could say that it's still early days and maybe they're working on things behind the scenes that will come out in the next year or two. I don't know. But they need to look at a few of these basic things first. Forget the money for the time being. Look at the fans. What can we do? Don't have stupid kickoff times that's going to make it difficult for fans to get to and from the game. You know, try to avoid postponements last minute when people like Joe have made a journey already to the ground on a Sunday afternoon to watch the game. It just, I don't know. They need to look at what's actually best for the people that matter, which is the players and the supporters. They're the two most important people when it comes to football. Anyway, they always have been, they always are, but they're not treated as though they're the most important players, the most important people. You know, we're going to be forced. The players are going to be forced to play game after game after game, which is no good for them. Fans are can't watch games they want to watch, which isn't going to help promote the game.
Oops, is Richard disappeared? Am I already alone? He's coming back, I hope. Technical problems are back
I
again.
mean, that hasn't happened for a while, actually. My camera's decided to give up on me. It hasn't happened for a few weeks, so I don't know what happened there. But anyway, we're back. But yeah, I don't know. Not ideal. Agneta says there, Anna Sandberg, Man United injured. Is she? I don't know.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah. I read this. She's out for, I think, 4 weeks or so. I read it correct. Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. That's unfortunate because she's a good player, isn't she? Actually, she's a good player. But if it's going to mean that Man United drop a few points in the WSL in the next few weeks, I wouldn't mind that too much. Not that I want her to be injured, obviously, but if it helps us in the long term, we do that. Ozzy Ann just said they give Arteta a new 7-year contract. I'm assuming you might be a Tottenham fan, judging by your name, and I can kind of understand why you would say that. I don't know why Tottenham sacked Andy in the first place, looking at what's happened since. And they'd be better off just keeping him, I think. But anyway, that's a different conversation for a different show, maybe. But yeah, there seems to be at the minute, I don't know, I'm not totally happy with the direction they're taking women's football in. It could be so much better and so much more positive and better for everybody. And it seems as though that's not happening. The right people aren't really being considered, and I don't really like that. Roy says that these Champions League games with Chelsea have the opportunity to be both sold out. What a time to be alive! Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the home leg for us will definitely be sold out. I would imagine. Not sure about the one at Stamford Bridge. Maybe, let's hope so. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be great to have 2 sellout games, wouldn't it, in the Champions League? Wouldn't that be good? That would be a message to the rest of the world, wouldn't it? Look at the WSL. Look at the fans they can attract. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I really hope that that's the case, but I'm not too sure about Stamford Bridge, if I'm honest. I'm not even sure about the Emirates will sell out. I mean, it's going to be a big crowd. I'm assuming you'll be going to that one, Andreas, won't you? The Emirates one.
Yeah, of course. Today the early bird started, early bird ticket offer, and I got my ticket, and I just read before we started our show tonight that tickets are selling out fast. It's looking good for the Emirates, and I think we'll get 3,500 or 3,900 tickets for Stamford Bridge, just for the away allocation. Of course, a lot of Arsenal supporters will buy tickets from the Chelsea app, and there will be a lot of Arsenal supporters at Stamford Bridge. Yeah, it will be 2 massive games, and big games for the English football, but also for the Champions League. 2 big clubs meeting there, and according to attendance in the English football, we had a discussion or argument in our German talk this week. I was mentioning the attendance figures from WSL, that Arsenal has average of 36,700 or so, and the whole WSL has 6,700 in average. And even Leicester, as a team at the bottom of the table, has 2,600 on average. That's more than Bayern Munich has in their campus. They have 2,500 maximum at the campus for every game. And they are 11 points clear at the Bundesliga, on top of the Bundesliga. And Leicester, bottom of the table in the WSL, has more in the attendance. And we had an argument. My colleagues in the German talk, you are always talking about the English football. Where is the English football? It's only Arsenal who have a lot of attendance. And if you take out Arsenal, then there is nothing better than in the Bundesliga. Yeah, but you can't take us out. We are a massive part of the WSL. And if we bring this attendance and bring so many away fans to the games, then that's a point. And and then you said the WSL is the best league in Europe. I agree. Another argument with my German colleagues, no, the Bundesliga is the better team. Man United was thrashed by Wolfsburg 5-2 in the Champions League, in the league stage. So 5-2 against Man United. And Bayern Munich won 3-2 against Arsenal. So the Bundesliga is the best league. It's always the same. And for me, it's difficult because I'm so involved in WSL and English football, and I want to bring the highlights of what we in the WSL are doing good to the German viewers, and the other 3 in the talk. Sometimes it's difficult. it's very much Frankfurt and DFB. The German FA is also located at Frankfurt, and they are Frankfurt supporters. So on Monday we had heavy arguments. So yeah.
But I mean, for me, I mean, I don't think you can judge the strength of a league on the result of 1 or 2 games. Yes, Bayern Munich beat us. They beat us last season as well, didn't they? 5-2. And, you know, a top German team and a one-off game might be able to beat one of the top English teams. That doesn't mean the league's stronger. Could the team at the bottom, how would the team at the bottom of the German league get on against Leicester? My guess is Leicester would beat them probably quite comfortably, because I think our league's got more depth in it, and that's what makes a better league. You don't judge a league by the strength of its top team. You judge a league by the strength of its bottom teams, because that's how strong the league is throughout. And this is why the Spanish league will never be taken seriously when you've got Barcelona winning 10-8-0 every week, because their bottom teams wouldn't even be in our League Two. They wouldn't even be that good. So that's for me. That's how you judge it. The top teams in the German league are as good as anyone. Absolutely, they are. Bayern Munich can beat anybody on their day. Of course, they can. You know, Wolfsburg have done really well as well, haven't they? They've, you know, in Europe and stuff like that, and other leagues in Europe as well. Obviously, you know, the French league, Lyon, always up there, winning the Champions League. Barcelona, but are their leagues stronger the further down you go? No, they're not. They're nowhere near as strong as our league the further down you go. And I think that's what makes a league. That was always my argument with it. And, you know, the fact that English teams haven't won many Champions Leagues, well, only 2 ever, we've won both of them, shouldn't extract away from the fact that these other countries have got a stronger league because they've won more Champions Leagues than us, because that's not how it works. That means their top team was good enough at that time, but what's their bottom teams like? That's how you judge it for me. And I think I'll stand by that. I think some of our teams in the second tier are better than a lot of the top flight teams in other European top leagues, I think. And I think that's how you judge it. I mean, I think we're going to see more as the WSL increases in size, gets more teams in it. I think that will improve the standards for everybody anyway, because you're going to get more teams going full-time, professional. It's just going to make the whole standards better, and it's going to be deeper into it as well. I mean, even now, you know, you don't get an easy game in the WSL, really, do you? You don't. And even if, you know, when we play Leicester, yes, we beat Leicester 4-1 away earlier in the season, but in other leagues, that would be an 8-0 win, wouldn't it? Or a 10-0 win to the top teams against them. And it's not a game like that anymore. You don't get them games in the WSL. It's always close games. Everyone's competitive now. It's not like that elsewhere, I don't think. Agneta says, but the beer's better in Germany. Well, yeah, maybe the beer might well be better in Germany. That's probably a good point, actually. But yeah, maybe that's what they can have that trophy. They can have the best beer trophy. Absolutely, we'll give it to them. They deserve that. LG says the Frauen Bundesliga is getting weaker. Bayern are losing players to WSL teams. Well, yeah. But it's not. I say it's not the top teams that you judge it on. I don't think anyway. And I stand by that in any league. The strength of your league isn't how good your top teams are; it's how good your bottom teams are. And yeah, I obviously we're miles ahead of pretty much anywhere else, I think. And I don't think anyone can have an argument against that, no matter what league you follow. I still think that you know, our league is clear. Top Shelf obviously agrees, indeed. But yeah, I mean, I suppose it's interesting. I suppose to get the feeling how other countries in Europe view the WSL, or maybe view English football, England women's football. Bearing in mind, you know, our national team now are doing well in tournaments, aren't we? We've won back-to-back Euros, reached the World Cup final in between them. You know, so on national level, we're as good as anybody anywhere. I think you can't argue with the results that we've had. And I think domestically, obviously, we're the Champions League winners from England at the moment. The holders are from England. You know, the standard of football seems to be better. I would be quite interested to know what the rest of Europe makes of our football. And yes, I suppose, you know, you could argue that the attendance is, yes, if you take Arsenal's attendances away, if we wasn't playing at the Emirates, if we were playing at Meadow Park, obviously the figure would come right down, because we're producing the majority of it. But you're right, you can't ignore Arsenal, because, you know, that's like saying, well, take Barcelona away from the Spanish league then. Do you know what I mean? Don't count them. You've got to count every team, haven't you? So, but even so, I do think, like you said, even like Leicester at the bottom of our league are still, you know, getting comparatively okay crowds, aren't they? Generally, they do play at the main stadium, which probably helps to a certain degree. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But I would be quite interested to know what the rest of Europe makes up. I know there's a Barcelona fan who sometimes comes in the chat and stuff like that, and he's not having it at all. He doesn't think he thinks the Spanish league's the best league because Barcelona win. But I'm not sure if that's really a reason for that to be the case, just because they win and they've won more Champions Leagues. I'm not sure, but anyway, I suppose everyone thinks their league's the best, don't they? Everyone wants to think their league's the best, but I don't know. I think if you look at it from outside and just look at the facts of it, I don't think there's much debate myself. I don't watch a lot of the other leagues, to be honest with you, and you only really see most of the top teams in the Champions League and things, don't you? And in international football, they're the top players playing, aren't they, who play for the top teams. It's difficult to judge maybe, but looking at the results that you see, I don't see any of the other teams have got so much strength in depth as what our league has. And I say that's just going to get stronger as more teams come in, I'm sure. But it's an interesting discussion, I suppose. Certainly for yourself in Germany, that must be quite an interesting discussion. Everybody kind of obviously disagreeing with you, I'm assuming, but they're wrong, and that's the way it is. But yeah, it's as good as it is, and as good as much as it's improved over the recent years, I still think that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done to promote the game better in this country and everywhere else, really. That it's lacking in something for me. They're not quite approaching it in the right way. Maybe they've got the wrong priorities, is probably what it is, if I'm honest. So, yeah, it's not maybe getting the right amount of promotion that it deserves, I think. LG says there, is an album a good album with just one good song when the rest of the songs are weak? Exactly, yeah, you're right. And that's another way I look at it as well, yeah. A great album can be ruined by, or potentially a great album can be ruined by having 2 or 3 weak songs in it, can't it? And another album, it might not have 2 or 3 standout songs, but it might be solid all the way through and every track's decent. And that's a better album, isn't it? So I totally agree, and that's a good comparison, actually. 100% it is. And Top Shelf says, I watched the NWSL and the NSL. WSL is far better than those. So there you go, you see. And that, obviously America's considered to be the leaders in women's football, haven't they, for a long time? So, if you watch that and you still think the WSL is better, then we'll go with that, won't we? You can't get much better praise than that, can you? So, yeah, but I agree with you anyway. I think that's absolutely the way it is. But yeah, we just need a little bit more. I don't know. We need better promotion of it so that everybody else in the world can understand exactly how good it is. And we're not maybe doing a good enough job on that side of it anyway. And even for ourselves here in England, we're not promoting it properly, I don't think, as well as we can do. But anyway, now, of course, after Sunday's FA Cup game, which no one can watch, we've got 3 weeks, haven't we, to the next game, which is quite frustrating. As we said, there is an international break coming up, which, is what it is, I suppose. Not ideal. As we said before, it's not ideal timing, is it, when we've got good momentum built up. And what we found is from previous international breaks, we come back and maybe it takes us a game or two to get our flow back, doesn't it, usually? Yeah. And obviously, at this point of the season, we come back, there's a lot of big games to come. We can't really afford that to happen. And do you think that's something I need to look at as well in the future, Andreas, with international breaks or international football, a lot of friendlies? Is there a way, obviously, with more WSL games, more Champions League games, is that not something that they can look at in the calendar and say, can we free up some more space? Can we have less international games? Or is international football still so important? Because it used to be more important in club football, didn't it, in women's football, I think, up until probably fairly recently, but that's changed now, isn't it? I think club football's taken priority now. Do you think they should maybe look at the international calendar and think, we can scrap some of this? They've got this Nations League stuff and whatever it is, do you know what I mean? Do you think they could maybe look at scrapping some of this and having less international breaks throughout a season? Or do you still think it's important?
Yeah, I think it's too long. It's 2 weeks international break now, end of February, and in April, once again, 2 weeks of international break. And you can't expand the leagues to 14, or I think Spain has 16 teams. And when do you want to play all these games and Champions League with league stage and knockoffs, etc.? So then start earlier, or don't have a long break over Christmas. Just you have to get the calendar equal or nearly equal to the men's calendar if you want to play all these games. And must there be a Nations League? And now we have the qualifiers for the World Cup, and next year we have the qualifiers for the Olympics, etc. It's too much, and players like Mariona, for example, is playing week in, week out for club, for country, every tournament, every international game for the club. It's too much, and then 2 weeks international break, and no chance to play these postponed games. And my hope was that we'll play Brighton on the 11th or so before the LCL game. But if they don't announce it, well, it's just on the weekend, FA Cup, and then it's the international break, and you can't announce during the international break that players have to return and play 3 days later a game in the WSL. Then there is the Asia Cup, where our 3 Aussies are going. A lot of Japanese players from Man City, Man United are away. Too many tournaments, and and too much country football instead of club football. That's still my opinion. I'm saying this for years, and next season with 14 teams in the league will be more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, international football is important. Let's not try and say it's not important. It is important, but there's a limit, isn't it? It seems as though what's happened in recent years is they've kind of lost track of the fact that technically, when you look at it, less is actually more. You're better off having less games, but a better quality, because everybody's fresher and you can play. The best players are fit to play every game, and you're getting better quality rather than just throwing loads and loads more games. But the quality is going to drop. Inevitably, it will, because it's impossible to keep that same level, because players will get tired, they'll get injured. You're going to get players pulling out of tournaments and things. So, yeah, less is definitely more, I think, when it comes to top level sport, because at the end of the day, these players, they're human beings, they're not machines. They can only do so much. And I think the demands that are now being placed on them are too much already. And all they're looking at doing is getting more tournaments in place, more matches, increasing the Champions League, increasing international tournaments. It's getting out of hand, and there's not enough time in the football season to get all these games played as it is anyway. And the way the calendar's set out now, and just by adding more games to it, they're not thinking about, well, where we're going to play them, how are we going to fit them in. Honestly, they'll be playing all through the year. They won't even have a break in the summer. They'll have to play all the way through every year to get all the games played. It's crazy. What needs to happen is it needs to be stripped back a little bit. And I know people will say, well, that's a backward step. And in a way, in some ways, it maybe is. But ultimately, it's not when you think about it, because you don't need a Champions League with 500 teams in it, really. You just need it's a Champions League. The top team should be in it. That's it. Don't have all these group games. You know, what's the point of them teams being in it? They're not going to get through. It's just a waste of time. Don't have them games. Same with World Cup qualifying. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the qualifying games are just pointless games. Most of them. Just strip it back. Let all them have their own little tournaments. Keep the big teams and the small nations apart, or maybe find some way of doing it. I don't know what the answer is, but they can't just keep adding more and more games. They need to have less games, certainly for the top teams, the top nations and the top clubs. They should be looking at trying to give them less games so the quality is better, rather than giving them more games and more games and more games. It's just, honestly, it's ridiculous. It can't. It's not sustainable, because what's going to happen is clubs are going to need to have bigger and bigger squads so that they can rotate more, and then what's going to happen is you're going to get young players aren't going to be given the opportunity to play very much, because the squads are going to increase, and they're going to be all top players coming in. It's going to, they're going to have the money to do that. I don't know. It's just I can see it, unfortunately, going a similar way to how the men's game's gone. The women's football is heading head first into going down that same path, which for me has not been positive at all. The men's Champions League now has become a joke. Honestly, it's become a joke. You've got a group stage that's just pointless. You're playing 8 games against 8 different teams in a league of like 40 teams, whatever it is. How can you judge how do you judge who plays who and how you can work out who's the best team? It's ridiculous. Obviously now the Women's Champions League, you're doing the same. You're playing a team once. So you're only playing some of the teams in the group, not all of them. Before it was better when you had the 4 teams in the group. You played the other 3 teams home and away. That's it, done. And the best 2 teams in the group go through. The best teams in that group don't go through. It just depends on who you get to play. And if you get like Bayern Munich played Arsenal at home and they beat us, had we played the game at our ground at the Emirates, we'd have probably beat them. So it doesn't mean anything. You know, everyone's gone about the Arsenal men's team, top of that Champions League group. Well, we played some of the worst teams in it. Yes, we played some good teams as well, but unless you play everybody, you're not the best team, are you? No matter where you finish. If you only play half the teams, it's like finishing the Premier League season in January. So it's the end of it now. We've played enough games. Well, we've still got to play everybody else again. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. Don't have to play them games. That's what it's like. And the women's game's going down the same route because for some reason people think that's the best way, and it's not. I don't think so. I really don't. But anyway, it's not going to change because there's too much money involved. More games equals more money, more TV. That's what they want. They don't care about anything else, really, unfortunately. But anyway, we're just going to have to suffer and put up with it. And we're going to have to put up with the fact that on Sunday we can't watch the game against Bristol City in the FA Cup. So not ideal, is it? But anyway. And it's a shame because we haven't got a game for 3 weeks. It would have been nice to have actually went to watch the last game before we don't see the team play for a while. But anyway, the good news is, I suppose, when we do come back in March, there's big game after big game to look forward to, isn't it? We've got the Champions League, hopefully the next round of the FA Cup. It's all starting to happen, isn't it? Some big games in the WSL that we need to win. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting when we come back. It's just a bit frustrating at the minute because Brighton was called off. We can't watch the Bristol City game. It's just, I don't know, it's not great, is it, at the minute? But I say the good news is when we come back, we've got a lot of excitement to come, haven't we? Because so many great games. Of course, we'll watch the Lionesses games. Of course, we will in the break. Of course, we'll watch them. And that's good to watch. We like watching the Lionesses as well. But it needs to come to a point where someone takes a backward step and looks at it and says, you know what? There's too many. We need to reduce the games. We need to reduce the load on these players. And hopefully sense will be seen at some point. But I'm not going to hold my breath, unfortunately, because I don't think it'll happen. So, yeah, maybe not quite as much in terms of games to talk about, really. Only that one game in midweek and a game at the weekend to come, which no one can see. So, yes, a few issues within the game that we had a chance to discuss maybe as well, which is good. But Joe says there, these tournaments were organised when players played in their home leagues. Well, I think that what used to happen was with women's football, international. In fact, there was one time where there used to be more international games in the season than domestic games, didn't there? You know, because there was one time when the top league in English football, I think, didn't Arsenal play like 8 games in one season or something when they were changing it around? There was more international games than domestic games. But obviously that's changed now and they need to adapt and adjust to that, and they haven't really. Ryan says there, all be better in March. Yeah, well, the weather will be better. There'll be more games to watch. There'll be bigger games. It's going to be much better. Yeah, you're right. March is going to be a better month. But yeah, we'll see. So, yeah, that's going to be it for a couple of weeks for us because obviously there's no games happening. There'll be obviously, I won't be able to do the coverage of the game on Sunday because I don't even know if I can watch it. Probably not. So we won't be doing that, will we, unfortunately? And then obviously we've got this international break. We'll probably watch the Lionesses, won't we, at some point through all of that, I'm sure. That'll be good. And then, of course, we're back in the middle of March. It's going to be good. Agneta says, thanks, and good night from Sweden. Tune into the Olympics. Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, I'm sure the Winter Olympics is big in Sweden, isn't it? Because, you know, you've got the weather conditions for Winter Olympics. we don't tend to have the weather for it unless it's water polo. We'd probably be out and swimming because at the minute in this country, that's all we've got is water everywhere, not snow. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll enjoy the Olympics. So yeah, so we'll be back in probably when's the next game? The 15th of March. Christ.
13th of March, 2 days before the LCL game. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, we'll be back. We'll be back for that, I'm sure. Joe says, thank you, all you guys are watching. Good to have Andreas back again. Of course, we've enjoyed the show. I know not much going on this week, really, but it's still always stuff to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, always interesting to discuss, and yeah, I enjoyed the show, and yeah, thanks to all our viewers who commented, and thanks to everybody who watched the wet match day vlog, and yeah, looking forward to continuing the season then in March with the LCL game, and then 3 games in a week: West Ham, Chelsea, and Spurs, and then second leg Chelsea. So exciting times are coming, and yeah, stay with us.
Exciting times are coming, exactly, and it's going to be good. Yeah, if you haven't checked out the vlog from Wednesday night, please check that out as well, because that was good. And the one from the week before as well, the away leg in Leuven, that's a great vlog, that one as well. So check both of them out as well. And yeah, we'll have a little bit of a break now, unfortunately. It's a little bit of an enforced break, but what can you do? There's no games, is there? So we'll be back, I say, in a couple of weeks' time, looking ahead to what's coming up, which, as Andreas rightly says, there are a lot of really big games to come, exciting stuff. It's what it's all about, isn't it? And it's going to be good, I'm sure. And hopefully there's some exciting, great times to come for Arsenal again this season. Who knows? There's a lot still to play for, isn't there? Let's win on Sunday first. Let's get that done. Let's get into the next round of the FA Cup. We need a good run in that, don't we? Because we've been desperate for one for a long time. So let's hope we can sort that out. And yeah, we will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit better. It's looking a bit better here anyway this weekend. Let's hope so. Enjoy the FA Cup game if you can watch it. If not, then just enjoy what you can see of it. Obviously the men's FA Cup, not the FA Cup. The men's have got North London Derby as well on Sunday, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that. And yeah, we will see you in a couple of weeks. Take it easy, and of course, as always, come on, you Gunners, let's do it.
Thank you.